the week, I had made several videos covering all the drama between Daonte and his baby mama Addy as of recently, because I'm not really sure where all the drama really started, but it got to a point where they were both spilling each other's deepest, darkest secrets, and they were going ham on each other for several days straight. And then suddenly, one morning, Daonte posted to his stories and he said, "Okay guys, I apologize, I'm done now." And Addy reshared what he said, but she didn't really apologize. She just stopped talking about the situation. So I thought, for the most part, they're done with all the drama. And then I have been saying for the longest that I kind of just feel like Daonte needs to fight for his child, because according to Daonte, he claims that his son, DJ, spends most of his time with his grandma. He claims that Addy struggled having the baby by herself and said that she couldn't take care of the baby unless she had someone there to help her because it overwhelmed her too much. So she would leave the baby with her, and at first she made it sound like she was just leaving the baby with her grandma while she's working, but Daonte claims the baby was with the grandma 5-6 days a week. And he was trying to act like she would just go over there like 1 or 2 days a week and get DJ. Well, Daonte, since he lives in another state, and with all this drama, I'm like, damn, he just needs to file for custody, because with how messy things have gotten, I feel like he, right now, with him not working, he needs to fight for his son, because this is the perfect time. He could be spending as much quality time with him. I mean, if he don't have nothing else to do, if he can't work, he might as well be a dad for his son. Especially if he's spending most of his time with his grandma, he should be spending his time with his parents. And Daonte looks like he finally decided to file for custody. Here it shows that this is a summons for court, and I guess this was filed on March 23rd. And it shows Daonte filed for it, and they have a court hearing on June 15th. Damn, that's a few months away, but I'm glad that it's finally happening. And this also shows, I had no idea that the son's last name was Sierra Brewer. So they named the son, DJ, Daonte Jr., and then the baby has Daonte's last name, Sierra, but the baby also has Addy's last name. So he is Daonte Rodriguez Sierra Brewer Jr. So, I mean, technically he isn't even considered a junior because he's considered a brewer as well. But, I mean, I had no idea that he had Addy's name. I guess Addy made that decision at the hospital. Daonte didn't really agree with it, but he really didn't have much say-so. They just kind of left it up to Addy to make that decision. And I guess after it came out that he filed for custody, I guess Daonte ended up talking to Addy and let her know, like, hey, I filed for custody. And Addy was like, I don't give a damn. I'm going to just rip up the paperwork. But, I mean, that's not going to help the situation. I mean, they're still going to have a court hearing regardless if she rips up the paperwork or not. And this is where things get interesting. Okay, so Daonte filed for custody. And, I mean, I don't know why he chose to let Addy know what his next move's going to be, but he let Addy know, hey, I filed for custody before she was even served with the paperwork, so he let her know what to expect. Well, Addy didn't return the same favor. When she found out from him that he had filed for custody, she ended up going and filing for a restraining order just a few hours later. And Daonte has yet to be served with that restraining order as I film this video, but I'm sure he's going to be served any time now. And their court hearing for the restraining order is on May 6th, and that's in South Carolina. And I'm sure Daonte is going to go out there and fight. But what I find interesting is the restraining order was done on the basis, I guess Daonte, he went live. And some of you guys may have seen Addy share this clip the other day from his live. When they were going back and forth and spilling each other's tea, she ended up posting a clip from his live. And in this live, he said, yeah, I'm going to keep my foot on her neck. And Addy took that as a threat, and she decided to use that as an example to get this temporary restraining order granted. And I don't think that he had bad intentions behind saying that. I don't think he meant like he wanted to physically hurt her. I think he just meant like, look, I'm going to keep applying pressure because I'm going to do whatever I need to do to make sure I see my son. I think when Daonte goes in there and fights his case, he needs to be clear about his case. I feel like he doesn't need to make excuses for what he says. I think he just needs to be direct and be like, look, this was like a metaphor that I'm going to apply pressure, that I'm going to stay on her case, not that I'm going to physically hurt her. And he needs to find any other examples of when he may have said, oh, I'm going to apply pressure to this person's neck, like if he was ever talking about anything else and said that same saying. He needs to take notes of that and take those with him to court to show, hey, you know, I've used this other times and I didn't mean it in a nefarious way, to show that he just uses it as a saying and this is something that he does and it wasn't meant as anything like directly as a threatening way to Addy. But he does plan to go to court to fight his case, and I do find it interesting the timing of everything, because from what I heard is he did talk to her about the child custody, and he warned her about the child custody, and she said, I'm going to rip the paperwork up. And this was after she had filed for a restraining order. I guess Daonte claimed that she kept reaching out to him, I guess, that same day that she filed for the restraining order. And that's not going to look good on her if she goes to court and if she says, oh, I'm threatened for my life, but then Daonte says, oh, well, she was calling me all day after she filed for the restraining order. That's not going to look like she's in as much fear as she's leading on. So if she really wants to keep this restraining order and have this long term, then she definitely needs to stop all kinds of contact with him, period, and just let the courts handle it. And Daonte said he does plan on going to court and he will be there that day to fight it, because if he doesn't show up, then she could be granted an automatic 3 to 5 year restraining order. But like I said, I just found the timing interesting because he filed for custody and there's a chance that, you know, maybe she might lose custody, or maybe he may be granted 50-50 custody. But regardless, she didn't want no custody agreement. She begged him not to go to the courts, for them to handle it between the two of them. And now he got the courts involved, and right when she finds out that there's a custody hearing coming up, she suddenly files for a restraining order. And I mean, she could be in fear for her life, but it also could be as a way to try to stop this custody case from going forward, because she could be like, oh, well, he threatened me and DJ's life, so he doesn't need to be around us anyways. I just kind of thought the timing to be interesting, and like I said, the fact that they're still in contact allegedly after the restraining order. But damn, all I know is this judge is about to have his hands full with this one if he has handed over all the receipts that they have been posting on social media. I mean, hopefully it doesn't get that messy, but I think that's one thing that Addy is kind of concerned about, because I mean, Daonte posted a lot of stuff from Addy, phone calls, messages, and she posted messages too, but it looks like he definitely like has a lot more on her versus what he has on her. And I think she just trusted him a little too much and confided in him too much after their breakup. It's like, girl, you're still telling him all your business like that's your man. But I am glad to see that Daonte is fighting for his baby, and I'm curious what's going to end up happening with all this. And I guess we'll just have to wait and see what happens at this restraining order hearing on May 6th, and hopefully we get the details from Daonte about what happens as soon as it does happen. But I mean, with this restraining order, I don't even think he's allowed to talk about her anymore. I mean, once he does get served, as of now she's filed, but he's yet to be served. But yeah, I just thought of this too, like, I just find the timing so interesting, because he made the comment, like, what, at the beginning of the week or last weekend, and she's just now filing for the restraining order at the end of the week. Maybe she's just now getting around to it, but from what I heard, she was talking about filing for the restraining order on Monday, and here she does it 5 days later as soon as she finds out about the custody situation. If you guys were a judge, what would you rule in this favor? From everything we've learned from social media about these two, What would you do? I don't know. It's just so complicated given that they're in two different states, because it's really hard to do like a 50-50 custody. And I don't think that they're in the position where they're going to like fully strip away custody from either Addy or Daonte. I think they're going to do some kind of split custody agreement, but it's just how they're going to juggle that being in two different states. Maybe they might do something where like 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off, but even then that's going to be hard for Daonte, not working and driving 6 hours. I don't know. I did a lot of research into it and explained the whole situation like to ChatGPT. And pretty much from what I found is, at the end of the day, the judge just goes by who they feel like can provide the child with the most stability and the most stable, nurturing, loving environment. And it's not going to look good on Addy that the fact that she just upped and moved to another state. That can seem as a way that she's trying to cut access to Daonte from seeing the baby, and it's not going to look the best that she moved in with this new guy so quickly and let him around the baby so fast. And it's not going to look good with Daonte with the fact that he's not working. But if he can describe, hey, this is just a temporary situation, then that may help his case. And him living with his mom, that may actually help his case here, because he can be like, look, I have the support of my mom, so if I have a seizure or something happen, I at least have my mom here and she can help me with the baby. But Addy could also use that same argument and be like, look, I'm out here in South Carolina and I have my family all right here to help support me. And what I found is they're likely going to get a joint kind of custody agreement, and if the distance continues, it could be a situation where Addy has full custody and then Daonte is able to take the child like on summers and holidays or like winter, spring breaks. And honestly, that probably makes the most sense in this situation. But I don't know, this whole restraining order just throws a complete wild card in all this, so it's really hard to suspect what we think is going to happen next out of all this. But yeah, guys, I'm done rambling. You guys let me know what you think about everything in the comments below, and thank you so much for watching.